this $1,000 a month that you was getting so you can afford
I was
it.
already grown and out of school. Now I'm jumping.
Okay.
I had a job.
Mm-hmm.
I worked at Shaw Industries.
Okay.
And I was working at 7 at night, 7 in the morning.
Okay.
And had this big old White House, like 5 bedrooms. I used to have parties there all the time. And then somebody got shot in my house. And so that and then they'd be like, oh, and then it became, that's the leader of the such and such house.
Were you renting or owning?
I was renting.
Okay.
But all people from all walks of life was there at my house all the time. No matter what gang you were in, that was just kind of like a neutral zone, you know, until that night. But anyway, I saw them watching my house. I saw them taking pictures. I would see that randomly. Like somebody would just be walking and just filming my house, you know. And so that day, I hung up the phone with that police officer and I said, I'm out, I'm done. I walked away. I never talked to anybody in that house again. You
walked away from the house?
I walked away from the streets, the house, everything. Completely went into music. Mind you, I didn't do anything illegal.
Right.
You know, I was just smart enough to surround myself around people that could protect me, you know? Yeah. And but I had young cats that was under me and I would mentor them. And I would try to get them to stay away from people that I knew would, like, the streets there's layers to the streets. And so what I learned is that the prisons are filled with good kids that did dumb stuff that they couldn't reverse. And I would have these younger kids that I would try to mentor, and I would say, yes, you are this, but don't hang around these people because they don't have any sense. If you keep hanging around these people, you're going to get yourself in some trouble. I would try to father them at the same time. I'm not about to send you on no dummy mission to do nothing crazy. We are literally here. You're lame just like I am. That's why you rolling with me. You really are lame. You really are what we call a cornball. You really a cornball.
Why was that attractive to them though?
They could identify it like subconsciously.
Gotcha.
I'm really a good kid that's not about letting nobody mess with me.
And you made them own who they are.
Yeah.
Own the fact that
people could be who they were when they were with me. Mm-hmm. So whether you were Crip or GD or whatever, they felt like they could be themselves. When they were with the other people, it was all about gangbanging. And so I would say, stay away from these. If you roll with them, and I would say, if you roll with these group of people, you're no longer with us. And they would roll with these people, and I would just cut them off. And then 9 times out of 10, they would end up going to prison or killing somebody or
dead.
Right. Well, nobody I rolled with ever died. They ended up being the people that were the you know.
This is unreal.
Yeah.
Because how is it that one gang,
right,
nobody dies?
Nobody from us.
But again, you see this wizardry as we're going on.
And then even one of them, I don't even know how much I'm saying right now, but one of them, his crew got jealous that he was with us. He was from a different crew. And they set him up. They shot him like 11 times.
Oh, wow.
He survived.
Wow.
And then he goes, and then now he wants to hang out. He's hanging around a whole bunch of people after he survives. And I'm like, if you're hanging around these people, I got to cut you off. I cut him off. He goes and robs the store and ends up getting caught and does years in prison. And then I don't even know how much I'm saying right now, but you know, he then he gets out of prison. Somebody kills his brother. He revenges that, and now he's doing life. So I had a lot of people around me that just wouldn't listen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I wanted to save people, and that's what I recognized at a young age, is that I always wanted to save people.
But Robbie, and what's so interesting in this coaching business,
Yeah.
The best part about it is the people that open up and evolve.
Yeah.
And the worst part about it is the people that don't listen.
They don't. Yeah. Right.
That's what makes coaches so great and so tough at the same time.
It's tough. It's tough. And I think that's what I've been trying to do. It's weird you brought that up because like I'm coaching because I'm doing the same thing. I'm trying to save people. I'm trying to help people recognize their true potential.
So what are you saving them from? Like, can you think
themselves.
Of some pain points? Okay. Now that right there, and every individual has their own challenge, right?
Yeah.
But the core of
I would see really good kids do dumb stuff.
How about adults?
In adults, but especially back then as a kid, as a young adult, I would see kids do dumb stuff. Like, where my life really started changing is when I started letting people that were not from the streets hang around me. I would let them be a part of my crew. This guy that y'all think is a nerd, I'm gonna let him be with me too.
But the funny thing is, what was the attractor in you for you to even start a crew? It starts one person at a time. All right, me and you roll together. All right, we enjoy each other. We doing.
I think it was people knew I cared about them. You know, I'm not gonna put you in those situations. I'm gonna do my best not to put you in any situation.
You were still Scar at this time?
I was still Scar.
Okay.
When I was out there in the streets, you know. But I was never the aggressor.
I get it.
I was never looking. I never wanted to physically. I said I did mentally and spiritually.
You said you had to.
Yeah, but I was always like, I don't want no problems.
So your head and your heart
were in two different places. My heart didn't want problems. My head did.
Right.
And
your head told you if you create the problem, then you'll be respected. You'll be revered.
And I knew how to project an image that made people fear me. And my image made people fear me more than what I'd actually done in real life.
So what does that say about people?
Yeah, absolutely.
No, can you tell me like what that says?
We all project an image, good or bad.
But how about the ones that look at you a certain way because of what you projected, not even knowing if it's the truth or not?
Exactly.
So people are just the sheep, right? They follow anything.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
1000%.
And the only way you can really get set free is you stop being sheep.
Right.
You create your own identity.
Create your own identity. And the crazy part is there was very little people that had problems with me personally. I would always end up getting into a fight because somebody in my crew had a problem with somebody else in another crew. And I started realizing, like, people don't really got a problem with me. They got a problem with all y'all. So I just started winging myself off from that. And I really started looking at police officers different because a police officer saved my life.
Do you know where he is to this day?
I do. I know where his brother is. I know where I don't know where he is, but I know where his brother is.
It'd be great to reach out to him.
I am going, and I did reach out to him.
Okay.
Oh, so by the way, 2 or 3 months after that, I got in Source magazine, which was one of the biggest hip hop magazines in the world. And when he found out, he called me. He was like, "Man, I told everybody in the police department you was just a rapper. I told them that you were doing this, and this, and that's exactly what I did. I told him that I thanked him, that I thank him for calling me and saving my life and steering me in the right direction."
That is so good.
Yeah.
When did you stop being Scar?
2011.
What was that decision like?
I was going to kill myself.
Okay, so, all right, so let me try to get this right. So you're helping people, you're evolving, you're on Source magazine, you're doing your thing, you're in front of the public, it's working. So you're progressing. But then all of a sudden you want to kill yourself. Fill the gap in.
I was depressed. I was numb.
This whole time?
Yeah, I was numb, completely numb. I always wanted to be a rapper, and now, I've made it in everybody else's eyes. And I'm traveling, I'm doing shows here and there, and I'm numb on the inside. I feel like I'm worthless. I feel like everyone is better off without me, and that I'm better off not being here as well.
How many of you can relate to everything that he said? Even if you weren't in the streets, you might know somebody in the streets, but how much did this impact for you? Because just think about how many times we look in the mirror, we don't like who we are.
Right.
We can't even sit up here and say, good job. We can't even celebrate ourselves. So just think about that.
Yeah.
This is where he fell into. Because doing all this work, still wasn't liking himself.
No. And at the time, I wasn't doing any work.
But working with these people and giving people hope, that's the work. You were in this mission, this ministry.
Yeah, I left all them behind. They started falling like dominoes.
So now you're by yourself.
It's me and my manager, my road manager at the time.
So you weren't depressed when you were helping them. It was when you became isolated.
I was depressed then. I didn't know I was.
You didn't know.
I never dealt with the issues. I would drink every night.
How could you deal with the issues?
Right.
Where are the tools?
Where are the tools?
Who, even when you look back on it, was there any one person that you think had the tools that could have helped you out of that?
No. But everybody had a small glimpse of the truth. So I gained a reputation that stretched to the prisons.
Oh, wow.
Like through my music.
Mm-hmm.
People would be listening to my music in the prison. So when some of them would get out, man, I heard about you. I've been listening to your stuff all these years. And they would give me a little piece of wisdom. And I would say, I don't want to go to prison. You know what I mean? I don't want to do that. And so I would pick up little bits and pieces from everybody.
Homeless people?
Huh?
Homeless people too?
At the time, I didn't know any homeless people.
Okay. I just bring that up because I just see you. I see you as a person that appreciates all people, no matter where they are, and if anybody on any level.
Years later, after I woke up, there was a homeless person that made me realize a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they see a lot.
They see a lot. Yeah. And I did music. I thought I was at the top, and then I just realized I wasn't. I was in a horrible relationship at the time. And my last show was in Ogden, Utah.
Okay, that's a weird place.
Real spiritual place, right? Mm-hmm. And I go there, I do the show, and I made up my mind when I get home, I'm gonna kill myself.
So, Ogden being a spiritual place,
mm-hmm.
It's not until you get there that you realize it's time to kill yourself.
Yeah.
What do you believe happened?
I saw a person die on my way there. On Highway 75. It was a car accident that took place like seconds before we pulled up.
Mm-hmm.
And this man was just laying in the road dead. No blood, he's on his back dead. And then there was a truck flipped over in the ditch. And to me, that was an omen.
Mm-hmm. Saying you should do this too?
Yeah, that, it's your time.
Okay.
What I realized though, I did kill myself. I thought I was going to kill myself physically, but I realized I had to kill off that image.
Got it.
But I didn't really know that until I had this voice talking to me in my head. Like I had these two.
Let's go there.
These two, the devil, the negative energy and the positive.
Take us to that moment though, Robbie. So you're sitting where and the voice is starting.
Yeah, so Jimmy dropped me off. He went to Ogden, Utah with me. He drops me off back at my house, and I said, all right, man, it's been real. And he's like, yes, sir, just like always.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, it's been real. It's been nice knowing you. Mm-hmm. I'm about to go. That's what I'm at. And then I go in the house. I didn't even turn on the lights. Just sat there. And I'm like...
Did you contemplate how you were going to do it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And what your choice was?
Gun.
Okay.
And I sit there, I'm literally thinking like, damn, somebody gonna have to clean this up. I don't want nobody to have to do that. Maybe I could do it this way, and this way. So I'm thinking about other people even as I'm thinking about taking my life, right? And then I sit there, I'm just miserable. And then all of a sudden I hear this, what I call the silent voice. It said, have you tried everything? I said, absolutely. Fucking tried everything. You sure? Yep. No, you haven't. Fucking have. I'm tired. Now I'm talking out loud. I'm like, I'm fucking tired. And this silent voice is like, you've been living your life as a victim since you were 7 years old. Oof.
Unpack that. As a victim, what does that mean? What did victim look like when you got this?
You thought the world was out to get you.
Okay.
Ever since you had that car accident, And then the evidence of you growing up in a home that was very violent proved that. And then you being in school and people wanting to fight you because of what you wore proved that. All the stuff you've been through over the years proved that. This horrible relationship you just got out of, that proves that. So everything from that point on confirmed that the world was out to get you. And because of that, you didn't trust anybody. And you attracted other people that didn't trust anybody. And they didn't trust themselves because you didn't trust yourself. And I'm just having this epiphany, this silent voice just kind of like educate me, right? And the voice was like, you said you did everything. Have you tried living as if you are responsible for your own life?
Wait a second. All right, you guys, drop some comments down below if you resonate with any of this. Tell us the part that resonates with you. Tell us where you are right now. Robbie, what?
Yeah.
Say that again. Have you
tried living as if you're responsible for your own life?
And you're like, what does that mean?
Yeah, but I immediately knew it was no.
Right.
Because my whole life I've been thinking somebody was going to come save me. Somebody else had the...
Of course somebody's responsible
tool.
For a kid. Anybody under 18,
right,
they're supposed to come save you, is what you're thinking.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, now I'm a young adult. I'm 26 or 27 at the time. And I'm 27 and I'm like, oh.
There's a thought.
What does that look like?
Good.
And it was, you got to change the way you think. You got to take full responsibility for the way you think. You've never been happy, and you got to find out what happiness is.
Hang on. Before this, because when you say you got to take responsibility for the way you think, it automatically makes me think about all my mentors that are in books.
Yeah.
Had you read any of these books?
I hadn't read any books.
Nobody?
No, I hadn't even read a book ever.
Because you're not the book person.
I wasn't the book. Yeah, I didn't read.
Okay, go ahead.
I could read, but I just didn't read. There was nothing interesting for me to read. What, school? You know,
yeah.
That was
telling you nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then, I'm having this dialogue with myself or my unconscious or God or the silent voices I call it. And it's like, do yourself a favor and just give it 30 days. What if for the next 30 days, everything that happens to you, you take responsibility for it? Everything. Everything. Just say, I did that. Everything you see, I did that. And that's what I did. I just said, I did that, I did that, I did that. And I practiced being happy.
How did you do that? How can you go from being depressed to all of a sudden practice being happy? Like,
so guess what I did?
How'd you get the idea of what happy looked like?
I think I watched the movie The Secret. Right after that, like I'm smoking a little weed. I'm high a little bit.
Yeah.
I didn't start smoking weed until I was 25.
Okay.
And
was it helpful?
It helped me see that reality could be altered.
When you're 25, when you start smoking weed, you say, okay,
or 20. No, actually, 27. I didn't start until
right in the same
time. And
it created a pause for you to process your thinking. Or?
It gave me a lot of anxiety, to be honest.
Oh wow!
Like now, I'm like hyper aware. Like I could see through people. You know, I could see like their intentions. I could, all of that good stuff. But then I just randomly come across this movie, The Secret, on Netflix one night, and I just play it, and I'm like, oh my God, this is it.
Yeah.
This is in alignment with the silent voice that I heard.
Yeah.
And literally the next day, I said, I'm not smoking or drinking no more. I stopped smoking.
That's how it happened.
I stopped smoking cold turkey, Black and Milds, and weed. I stopped drinking cold turkey. And then I went into meditation, and I was just inspired to just say, I forgive you.
Did you know you were meditating, or did you just? Okay.
At the time, it was just like, just forgive everybody, everything. Forgive everyone, forgive everything. And I just closed my eyes and I said, I forgive you. And every emotion or picture that came up in my mind, good or bad, I just said, I forgive you. What I realized is that the more I did that, I'm like, oh my God, what's happening? And this big, thick emotional wall of baggage that I accumulated over the years started to become weaker and weaker and weaker and weaker and weaker. And all of a sudden, and then maybe an hour into it, it was just, and my awareness went everywhere. I saw myself from across the room meditating. I cried like a baby as I forgave my father who died 11 years prior to that. I forgave everyone, including myself. I was happier than I'd ever been in my life.
So so you forgave everyone, including yourself. How did you, like, that's just such a heavy thought. You forget, just all of a sudden meditating, you forgave everybody. Was it that, let me just go through the motions first, and then all of a sudden the awareness showed up, and then
I just knew that I had to forgive. There was so much I'd held on to for all of those years. Something just said, you gotta forgive. And I just said, and I literally cried uncontrollably.
What did you learn in that moment about mankind and who humans
that we're
were?
God. I called my mom. I said, Mom, I called my mom laughing, crying. I said, Mom, I figured it out. We Jesus. We're God. And she said, what? I said, yeah, Mama. And then I said, you got to forgive Dad. I said, you can't be fully happy until you forgive Dad. I said, you still, because my mom was an angry person back then.
Understandably.
Understandably. And I said, you got to forgive Dad for everything. And I called every single person that I still was in contact with, and I told them they got to forgive everybody and everything too. I didn't keep calling everybody and say you're a guy because everybody's looking at me crazy, right? But I said, you got to forgive. And then I called everybody that I was still cool with over to my house, and I made them watch the movie The Secret. And out of 8 people, 1 of them was awake at the end of the movie. I told the other 7 deuces, said, I just wanted y'all to see this because I done changed my life and this is the direction I'm going. And I want to bring y'all with me. But if y'all ain't ready right now, I get it. But I'm going in a positive direction. And I no longer talk to any other. And these were good guys that I was still cool with at this time. But I just said, I can't be friends with you because I'm going to be influenced by the people that I'm around. And I want to be influenced by people that are studying, people that are working on themselves, people that are on a similar path. Yeah.
So when I watched The Secret, blew my mind too.
Yeah.
And I actually watched The Secret several times a year. This is when we were getting my daughter through trying to become a pilot.
Yeah.
And I had no money.
Yeah.
Okay. So The Secret came in clutch.
Yeah.
And then every once again, if I found myself getting weak in my faith or my hope or whatever, I'd pop it back in. It was like a vitamin. So we watched it as much as we needed to. Whenever we felt a little shaken, boom, throw it right in. But I started understanding what I had learned over the years in the Bible. It made the Bible now make sense of what faith looks like, what hope looks like, how to see that thing that's not there, substance of things that unseen. I started to get it. So I did not understand that we were God. I didn't get that time. So for you to get it at such a young age is amazing.
Go ahead.
I was going to ask you in that same vein where you're ready to go. Can you define what or who God is so that everybody can understand why you say that?
So I grew up very interesting. Like, everybody was super religious around me, but we were never forced to go to church. So I was fortunate enough not to be indoctrinated.
Okay.
I kind of got it from everybody else, right?
Were scriptures being quoted to you over the years?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Everything God did, right? Like, and I'm like, so my family is originally from Morven, Georgia, small town, 1 traffic light, and everybody there was like super superstitious to the point where we had this crazy superstition, like if it rained and the sun was out, they would say the devil's beating his wife. Like,
right, yeah, yeah.
You know, like. But I remember as a kid, this pastor came up to the trailer park when we were playing basketball, and he asked if we were saved, and I was like, "What do you mean? Like, we're playing basketball? There is no safe in basketball.
Right.
This ain't baseball."
Right. Okay.
He laughed and he's like, "No. Have you been saved by your Lord and Savior Jesus Christ?" And I said, "Who is that?" He said, "You don't know about Jesus Christ?" I said, "What's that?" He told me. And he said, "Jesus died for your sins." And I'm like, I said, "When?" I'm like, "I don't even know who that is. What are you talking about?"
Was this illuminating or inspiring at all when he was telling you
No,
this?
it was scary.
Okay.
Because now I'm being told I'm a bad person. I was in the 7th or 6th grade.
Oh, wow.
Like, I heard all this stuff about God, but now I'm being told I'm a bad person. I'm a sinner. I'm dirty.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I didn't even do anything. I'm like, and I think I literally said to him, I didn't ask him to do that. Like, you know, like, I don't know what you're talking about. What are you talking about?
I'm not guilty.
And then all the other kids I was playing basketball, I was like, "Yes, sir." I'm saying, you know, I'm like, y'all
Like,
saved?
why y'all ain't bring me to be saved?
So the man, I'm like, I want to be saved, you know. So the man said, "Ask your mom if I can come pick you up at church tomorrow night."
Oh.
This is at the time where, you know, you could just jump in the car with a stranger, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And so I went and I said, "Mama, this pastor want to take me to church." And I said, "Mama, did Jesus die for our sins?" And I don't know what she said, but she gave me permission to go to church with him, right?
Mm-hmm.
I went to church, and we were supposed to be eating pizza. We ate pizza, we played basketball in the gym, and then all of a sudden,
Here come the word.
it comes to other stuff. So I ended up being saved that night.
Were you inspired or pressured?
I was pressured.
Okay.
Put on this big white t-shirt, you know, to change clothes to get dumped in the water.
Oh, you got baptized.
Yeah, baptized. Yeah.
They're supposed to wait until you get the parents' permission.
Mama said I could do it,
Oh.
but she wasn't there.
Okay.
So I got baptized that night.
You're like, there's a bunch of shenanigans going on here. What?
And
the
I
time
said, I'm never going to church again after that night. I went home and I shut God out of my life. Because I'm like, that don't feel right. You know, like that didn't feel right to my spirit.
That's right.
But I'm still like, I believe in God, but we now beefing with God. Like, God,
Right.
like, why am I dirty? Like, why you made me and I'm a dirty person? Like,
Yep.
that doesn't make, you know. So I struggled with the God concept a long time. Because I saw people that were like super religious, but they were super poor or super sick. And I'm like, you look like you're going through conditions that a person that wouldn't believe in God would go through.
That's right.
You in church every day, you at the hospital every day, like, I don't know if I want to go all the way in. So I knew that my chances of looking at a lot of people that went to church all the time, I knew my results couldn't be any worse than a lot of them got, because they were sick, they were poor. I'm like, I'm poor, but at least I'm not sick.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll take my chances outside of church. But I kind of didn't really, and then I would pray and nothing would happen. You know, I would pray that, please don't pick on me. And then people would pick on me at school.
Yeah.
But then I noticed that when I would make a statement like, you know, this is what I am, that's what the world would see me as. Like, prime example, I would go home every day after school and take my hairbrush. I had a brush at the time. I had hair at the time. And I would close my eyes and imagine myself rapping in front of a crowd full of people. That's what I ended up becoming.
Yep.
I imagined myself being in Source Magazine. I ended up being in Source Magazine.
And you were actually operating in biblical principles, because you said, I would tell them what I am.
Mm-hmm.
I decreed, I declared
right.
who I am.
Right.
I am.
Yeah. who I say I am.
I am who I say I am.
Yeah.
And it worked.
And it worked. But then it was in a negative tone. You know, when I said I'm the toughest gangbanger in the world, that's what they saw me as. Right? When I said I was a rapper, that's what they saw me as.
This is deep.
When I said I was a victim, that's what people saw me as.
You're going to be whatever you say. Whatever comes out of your mouth, that's what you're going to be.
Absolutely. And I didn't really know it.
Okay.
It was unconscious.
Right. But you were taking note of what worked and what doesn't work.
I asked myself one day, I said, is that tree a Christian, or does that ant worship the way we worship? And I started asking myself those real questions, like,
good. Oh my God.
Like, that tree don't know nothing about what we talking. The tree don't even know I call it a tree.
Mm-hmm. Right.
The tree just it's what it is. The ant doesn't know anything about these words, or that baby don't know.
These
right?
terms that we're using.
And I realized that
these terms don't exist.
They don't even exist. And I realized that all this stuff was like a construct. Somebody thought of it, right? And then I'm like, but when I had my spiritual awakening, I called my mom. I'm like, I want to read the Bible. And she was so happy. She gave me her Bible, and I opened it up, and I was like, this ain't doing it. I just was honest with myself. And
but you were hungry.
I was hungry. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, I don't know about the talking snake. I don't know about the serpent. You know, I don't know about how is it bad. And my first question was, how is it bad that Adam became aware of good and evil? You wanted him not to know, and just, So I just started asking myself these questions. And then I realized when I discovered...
what do you think about the good and evil? Isn't that woke and not woke? Like you turn between two things?
Aware, there's like a baby and an adult, right? Like the baby is unaware of good and evil. The baby will just put a hand on a stove and just leave it there until it doesn't know that I better not do that, right? So in my mind, Adam was just becoming aware of how to think, how to make decisions consciously. Okay. And I realized very quickly, it made women kind of less than, like the root of all men's problems at a subconscious level. And then I would see some of the people that hand on the Bible were some of the meanest people on the world, and they use that to justify it. So, and not demonizing anything, because I believe.
But you're speaking truth.
But
everybody's aware.
It is what it is, and that was what me understanding that when I say I'm God and that you God, I mean I'm life, and God is life. Life is God. Life is all there is. Life is the only game in town.
That's right.
And we're all life. This is life. This phone is life. This shirt is life. Your life, I'm life. And we're acting like we're not.
And we're all connected.
We're all life. We're all the same thing. We're this air that's just been put in these balloons. Mm-hmm. And when we die, we go out of the balloons and back into the atmosphere.
So when we think about the construct, like you said, these things are constructs. So therefore, knowing that we're all connected, we're all one, we're all this energy, you're not saying you don't believe in Jesus Christ. You're like, yeah, Jesus Christ had a body. You're not saying you don't believe in Buddha. You don't believe in Islam. It's not like it has nothing to do with the constructs. You're saying the true senses of who we are.
Right. I think that these people were, like specifically Jesus. I think he was a master that tried to get people to see that they were masters.
Absolutely.
And they killed him. And years later, they said, oh shit, he might have been on to something. And then they built a religion around him.
Hang on. Just pause right there for a second, and please remember where you were going. So I knew of a guy who sat here and told me that he came away from the masses and he became this thought leader.
Yeah.
And as a young guy, you grew up.
Yeah.
Speaking about you, right?
Yeah.
You had your own Jesus walk.
Yeah.
Because you too had the same things happen to you. Where
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, now you had all these people following you.
Right.
Same way Jesus did that lone walk.
Right. Absolutely.
That's incredible.
Yeah. I hung out with the thieves and just like Jesus did.
Yeah. No judging anybody.
I realize I'm not my name. That's somebody gave me that name.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not my body. I'm not my brain. I'm not my organs. I'm not any of this. This is just
your thoughts.
No.
Not your emotions.
This is just stuff that I'm possessing for the moment.
So, how can if you're not all these things, Robbie? How can someone actually excel? Because we have these things, we physically are in this body and all that. How can we excel if we're not these things? Like how?
Just like I know I'm not my car, but I can enjoy my car when I get in it and drive it.
Yeah.
And now I'm detached. Like I love my car, but it's not my end all be all.
So, thinking about attachment, people get attached to their bodies. We're getting to body shaming, imaging, and all that other kind of stuff.
Right.
So, what is that about? Why are people locked into that construct? Where does that state of sleep come from? Because if they were able to wake up and really understand the vessel.
Yeah. I always say that for me, when I loved myself more, I treated myself better. You know, if I walk in your home, I can tell if you love your home or not.
True.
By the way you keep it.
That's right.
You know.
Well, this is good.
You know what I'm saying? If I get in your car, I can tell if you love your car or not. You look at a person's body, you can tell if they love themselves or not, right? Because you're gonna treat yourself the way you're gonna treat yourself equivalent to the way you feel about yourself.
Absolutely.
If I love myself, I might not be the healthiest person in the world, but I'll know not to overeat. I'll know that I need to go walk. I'll do things to take care of myself better. But if I don't love myself like that, I'll convince myself that I love myself just by eating the most delicious foods when it might be harming me. If I love myself, I'm going to make sure I'm around people that love themselves. If I don't love myself, I'll be around people that don't love themselves and they damn sure don't love me, but they'll look like they love me. And we'll be fooling ourselves like we love ourselves, but we really don't. So it's like, I started realizing like what showed up in my physical reality was a reflection of what was taking place inside of me.
Yeah. You know what's interesting too? What we see right now is already old news.
It's old news. It's the world of old news. This table's already been made. When they get on the news and say something about the news or whatever, it's already happened.
It's already happened.
But we get so caught up in the 3D world is the real world. This ain't real. This is the old news. Mm-hmm. Somebody already made this building.
What do you say to somebody that's like, what do you mean it's not real? I'm sitting here, I'm looking at it. It is real.
It's not even real. If you got the proper microscope, first of all, this table is vibrating. Second of all, your cells are vibrating. This ain't even, for me, real means it can't be changed.
Oh, that's good. That's good. And the only thing that can't be changed is energy.
Energy can be changed.
Wait a second. Wait. Exists awareness. Awareness cannot be changed, right?
Awareness can be changed too.
Talk to me about them too.
So nothing's real.
But Robbie, something has to be real.
The only thing that's real is life.
Okay. Right. So, but is life temporal? Like, say for instance, when you say life, I look over there at that tree.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? And I remember one time I was stuck trying to figure out something in life about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And nobody was around me to talk to me about this. And I was just like, but I know the answers exist. I know the answers exist.
Yeah.
So I looked up at this tree. It was mighty. It was big. And I looked at the tree. And I didn't care that I was sounding crazy. Nobody was listening to me, but most would think that this was crazy. But I love sharing this because, and I haven't shared it much, because people would not be like, oh, something wrong with that tree. I looked at the tree and I asked the tree the question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I paused and I waited.
Yeah.
And the answer came.
Absolutely.
What is that? Is that real? Like, you know what I mean? Is that life? Is that what life is? Like transferring of information?
So it's like the paradox, like nothing's real and then everything's real. But the only thing is real is your experience.
That's it. That's what I've been trying to
But
get
nothing's real in the sense that it can't be changed. Like,
Gotcha.
this table can be a table, but if I chop it up, it can also be a wheel.
So let's take, for instance, this water.
Mm-hmm.
I love the spring water.
Right.
When my oldest daughter comes over, she doesn't like the spring water.
Right.
That's real to her.
That's real to her.
And this is real to me.
Exactly.
So life is, the only thing that's real is what we perceive.
What you say.
Robbie, how do you believe, if you could explain it, how did you get to call yourself a wizard?
I just started noticing things happen. How much time we got? All right, this is where it gets interesting. By this time, I'm deep into meditation. I check out from the world. I stop rapping immediately. I stop smoking, drinking. And I said, I'm sitting out. And I just sat to myself and meditated every day. Some days I would get up to 5 hours in one solid meditation. This is where it gets kind of weird. Not for me at this point, but it gets weird based on if you've been living life as a normal little human, right? Sitting outside meditating in the sun one day, and all of a sudden I realized that the more I expanded my consciousness, the more the sun beamed down on the top of my head. And I could feel it directly, like a portal. It just was beaming down on the top of my head. And then all of a sudden my body becomes extremely magnetized to the ground.